All right, everybody, welcome back to Sports and Money. I am Benjamin Parker. Thank you so much for being with us today. I hope you're doing really well wherever you're watching us from. We're doing another Kansas City Chiefs video today. The Kansas City Chiefs fans have really put me to work here trying to figure out what to do with Sammy Watkins and Tyreek Hill. We covered the offense, the entire offense for the next 2 or 3 seasons, 4 seasons on our last video. Today we're just going to concentrate on Sammy Watkins and Tyreek Hill. What in the world to do with these guys in the off season after 2019? That is in January, February, and March of 2020. Now, for those of you who don't like getting the cart before the horse, this video is not for you. For those of you who don't like looking ahead, this video is not for you. This is just what I do. I look ahead, and by the way, this is what Brett Veach does. Now, for me, this is a rather fun and engaging way to do my job. For Brett Veach, this is a very difficult decision to make. It's not the most important thing on his list right now. It's probably number 125 on the list of important things in his life right now. But it is on his radar. It's one of the things that he thinks about as a general manager. You have to look ahead. You have to look at everything. And looking 2 years down the road to some decisions you may or may not have to make is something that he at least thinks about in part if he's a good general manager. And it does seem that from what we've seen so far, he is. All right, let's take a look. In 2020, this is in January, February, March of 2020, after the 2019 season, Tyreek Hill's contract is run out, and that is what is really putting a clock on this. He's one of the best deals in the NFL, maybe the best deal in the NFL. He's making $705,000 this upcoming season. The season after that, he'll be making $797,000. Sammy Watkins, these are both guys, wide receivers on your team, is making $7.8 million this year. His salary number really jumps in 2019 to $19.2, and then climbs a little bit in 2020 to $21 million. So Sammy Watkins is signed for 3 seasons at very good money, really, really good money Sammy Watkins will be making during his last 2 seasons. Tyreek Hill has one of the best deals in all the NFL for the Kansas City Chiefs. Not a great deal for Tyreek Hill, but it's a great deal for the Kansas City Chiefs. We've covered that. I'm not going to focus on that today. What I'm going to focus on is this. In 2019, you have to make a choice about Tyreek Hill after the 2019 season, because why not just put a 5th-year option on him? Why not just exercise the 5th-year option? Because he wasn't drafted in the first round. Most of you know, some of you may not. If you're not drafted in the first round, there is none of that 5th-year option stuff attached. 5th-year options are beautiful for NFL teams. They're not that great for players. They're beautiful for teams. Tyreek Hill, not drafted in the first round. There is no 5th-year option available for Tyreek Hill. So why not franchise him? Well, you can franchise him, but in order to do that, you're going to end up paying him about what he would be making under a contract anyway, the most he could possibly make under a contract. What you would have if you franchised him would be Tyreek Hill making in the neighborhood of about $17 to $18 million. Combine that with Sammy Watkins for 2020, the $21 million he would be making, you would be paying 2 wide receivers about $38, $39 million just for two wide receivers. Simply not doable. There is no way under the salary cap, the NFL salary cap. And listen, the NFL salary cap forces teams to make decisions about stuff like this. It forces teams into a box to where they have to make decisions about players and positions. But there is no way that you can have 2 wide receivers on the team tying up $38, $39 million. You just simply cannot do it. That's just way too much money. It would kill your salary cap. Every time you do something like that, it means that a couple of other starting positions on the team are going to be filled by 3rd, 4th, and 5th round draft picks who are playing a couple of seasons too early, and it's going to show up in the score box. Simply cannot do that. So here are your options if you're the Kansas City Chiefs and Brett Veach in 2020, early 2020. You could sign Tyreek Hill immediately. You could sign him to a long-term contract, give him 5 or 6 years, give him the $16, $17, $18 million that he could command on the free agent market, and then just go ahead and release Sammy Watkins at a price of $7 million. Now, Some of you are going to hate this. You say, Ben, Sammy Watkins hasn't even played a down for the Chiefs, and you're already talking about releasing him. I understand that. And for those of you who don't like that, I get it. But for me, this is the fun part. For Brett Veach, this is the difficult part. You could sign Hill to a long-term deal, and then just go ahead and let Sammy go, because there's no way you can pay him 21 and him 16, 17, 18 in the same year. You just cannot do that. Your second option would be to go ahead and let Tyreek Hill walk, go ahead and let him go, and then begin to work on a contract negotiation with Sammy Watkins. The risk with that is, if I let Tyreek Hill go and I decide to negotiate with Sammy Watkins, not only have I given Sammy Watkins and his agents, who I'm sure are wonderful people, a boatload of leverage. Now they know that I'm the best wide receiver on the team, and that I'm counting on signing Sammy Watkins because Tyreek Hill has left. Now they've got a boatload of leverage, but also I'm running a great risk. If for whatever reason I can't sign Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill is already gone. So that, I do not like that choice at all, trying to let Tyreek Hill go and sign Sammy Watkins. You might say, well, guys, why don't they just sign Sammy Watkins to a brand new deal? They could do that, but their window to do that is going to be tight. If you don't do that in 2019, when Sammy's not really going to be too eager to sign a new deal, he's making $19 and $21 million. There's not a lot of incentive to sign a new deal at that point. You could try in 2019 to sign Sammy to a new deal and then just let Tyreek Hill walk. But if you don't sign him to a brand new deal in 2019 when he's still only under year 2 of a 3-year contract, then you're running the risk that you don't get to sign him at all during that January, February, March, April, once Tyreek Hill has already walked. Your other choice is to sign both. And I know for a lot of you, a lot of the comments we've gotten on the offensive video, for a lot of you, that's the option that you want to take a look at. And we're going to take a look at that here in just a minute. The other option, number 4, is to just go up and release both players. And I know for most of you, that is the worst option. That would basically mean that one or both of these players has played horribly, or that they've gotten injured, or that Patrick Mahomes just hasn't panned out and has been horrible, and you've decided to just blow up the whole offense, all right? So we're not going to talk about number 4, where we actually released both players because we had to blow the whole thing up, or because they played that horribly. I don't think that's going to happen. My opinion is this, and our discussions are based on this. I think Sammy Watkins is going to have some of the best seasons of his career with the Kansas City Chiefs under Andy Reid, working with Patrick Mahomes, working with the other offensive weapons on that Kansas City offense. And I think Tyreek Hill is going to continue to be what he already has been, and that is one of the best and most productive wide receivers in the NFL. I see no reason to think any different about either of these players. And for those of you who aren't familiar with my videos, you say, Ben, you're just drinking the Kansas City Kool-Aid. No, I'm not. I've already discussed the difficulties that the Chiefs have on defense in the secondary, the major holes that they have there, the major concerns. I've already discussed the rebuilding job that the Chiefs will have to do on the interior of the offensive line, not this year, but in the 2018 offseason, the 2019 offseason, over those next 2 or 3 seasons, the interior rebuilding job they're going to have to do, not only in the middle of the line, but in the depth of the line as well. But when it comes to these 2 guys right here, this is not just Kansas City Kool-Aid. I honestly believe both of these guys are going to explode over the next couple of years, barring an injury, barring Patrick Mahomes being a complete disaster, and I don't think he will be. These 2 guys are going to take off and have tremendous seasons. And that's what you hope for. You hope that these 2 guys can play really well and really produce for the Chiefs and push all the way through the playoffs and maybe get you a chance at a Super Bowl. That's what you're hoping for. Now, if that happens, if Hill and Watkins both play tremendous over the next 2 seasons, they both know that when and if they hit the free agent market, if the Chiefs elect not to re-sign Hill, if the Chiefs elect to let Watkins go and eat that $7 million dead cap hit, both of these guys would know when they hit the free agent market, they can sign with almost any team they want to sign with and make a boatload of money doing it. Wide receivers, top wide receivers right now are dragging down about $16 to $18 million on the free agent market. Come 2 seasons from now, they're probably going to be pulling pretty steady at that $18 million mark. These guys, both of these guys and their agents are going to know $18 million a season, long term, is within reach. It's something we can get if we choose to leave the Kansas City Chiefs and go test the free agent waters. They're going to know that. So for Brett Veach, this is where it really gets difficult. How can I figure out, instead of being pessimistic and negative about one of these guys having to leave, a number of you have asked me, is it possible for them to sign both guys? And the answer is yes. I want to quote the great Al Michaels on this. He said frequently says on his broadcasts, nobody knows anything. And by that he simply meant nobody can accurately predict the future. I don't know what's going to happen. Brett Veach doesn't know what's going to happen. How good are these guys actually going to be? Is somebody going to get injured? Are they going to be willing to sign for the less? Are they going to absolutely want to just leave the Chiefs and test the free agent market? Anything is possible. It is absolutely possible that the Chiefs could sign both of these players 2 seasons from now if they're both great and if they both want to re-sign with the Chiefs. It is absolutely possible that they could do that. If both players love the Kansas City offense, love Andy Reid, love the Kansas City area, love what they're doing, yes. It is absolutely possible that both players will be willing to sign for less. Here's the question. How much less can Brett Veach get these 2 players, these 2 phenoms, potentially, to sign for in order to not hurt the salary cap and devastate the rest of the team? Because like I said, every time you add $2 or $3 million to one of these guys' contracts, it means that some other spot on the team is going to suffer for it. So you've got to really believe in what these 2 guys bring to the team and how much the wide receiver position specifically can carry you over into Super Bowl hopes and Super Bowl dreams. So for me personally, this is just me, I have no clue what Brett Veach's number would be. You've got to be able to sign both guys in the neighborhood of a combined $25 million. Anything past that, and you're really starting to blow up your salary cap. Right now, Justin Houston's making $21 million. After that, it's a huge drop-off to Eric Berry and Eric Fisher, who are about making $13 and $14 million each. After that, you have Travis Kelce at $10 million. So after Justin Houston, at that huge number of $21 million, no 2 guys on your team combined for any more than $26 million. No 2 players, and everybody else comes way, way behind. So to have 2 guys on your team who aren't named Justin Houston averaging together more than $25 million a year is a big hit. That's going to be a big ask. Not saying that you can't do it, but for me personally, the goal, the mark would be right around $25 million. 24, 26. For me, it's $25 million. Brett Veach may have a much lower number on that, especially because it's 2 wide receivers, or he may have a higher number on that. But for me personally, it would be about $25 million is the most I would want to pay these 2 guys combined. Now, if I could sign Sammy Watkins at $14 million a year to a long-term deal, if I could get him to just scrap this 2020 year and re-sign him to, say, a 5-year deal at $14 million a year, that would leave me $11 million that I could sign Tyreek Hill for. Let me go over those numbers again. For me, the comfort zone is $25 million combined for 2 players. That's a lot, especially considering they play the same spot. We're not talking about a defensive end and a cornerback. We're not talking about a quarterback and a wide receiver. We're talking about 2 wide receivers playing the same spot. For me, hello to the Zebras, for me that is a big, big ask right there, to have both of these guys playing the same position making any more than $25 million. Brett Veach may have a much lower number on that. If Sammy Watkins, if I can figure out a way, because he loves Kansas City, he loves the Chiefs, he loves Andy Reid, he loves getting passes from Patrick Mahomes, if I can get him to sign for $14 million, that leaves me with $11 million for Tyreek Hill. If I can get that, then I hit that $25 mark. If I've got to push to $16 million on Sammy Watkins, then that's going to leave me with only about $8-9 million to offer Tyreek Hill. Remember what I said. In the 2020 offseason, that is January, February, March, April of 2020, wide receivers, top wide receivers, are going to be pulling down about $18 million. So if I'm trying to get Sammy Watkins to sign for $14 to $16 million, hopefully 14, he's actually taking a pay cut in order to stay with the Chiefs. Whereas he could be pulling in $17-18 million, maybe even more. I'm asking him to take 14. Same thing with Tyreek Hill, who's been the bargain of a lifetime for the past 4 seasons at that point. If I'm asking him to sign for $10 to $12 million, and that's really all I can afford if I want to keep both players, then he's taking a huge potential pay cut versus $18 million a year. And don't think that their agents won't be doing their job and telling these players this. They will absolutely be talking to players. Now, agents will always abide by players' wishes, but agents will always tell their players what they think they can actually get on the market. And the agents will be telling these players that they can pull in $17 to $18 million a season on the free agent market with a long-term deal, not $14 or $16 million, and certainly not $10 or $12 million. That's what Brett Veach is going to have to try to figure out. Now, why would these two guys, even if they love Kansas City, even if they love Andy Reid, even if they love Patrick Mahomes, even if they love the Chiefs, why would they really be willing to give up that much money in order to stay here and play when they could go to another city that they might love, another coach they might love, another offense they might love, and do it at $17 and $18 million? Here's why they might be able to do that. Brett Veach, if he's willing, and if the owner is willing, along with this $14 million, which is a pay cut. Remember, Sammy Watkins will be coming off a $19.2 million deal. That's a pay cut. If he's willing to go down to $14 million, Brett Veach could guarantee the entire contract to Sammy Watkins. He could tell Sammy Watkins, hey, instead of guaranteeing 60 to 70% of your contract, which is the current NFL norm, we're going to guarantee the whole thing. In order for you to take that pay cut and stay with us and sign for less, we're going to guarantee the whole thing. Same thing with Tyreek Hill. If you'll sign with us for 3 or 4 seasons, both these guys are 24 right now, they'll be 26 in the 2020 offseason. If you're willing to take a pay cut, sign for $10 million so we can be around this $25 million range so that we can potentially compete for a Super Bowl with both of you guys here, because we're building a great thing here in Kansas City. If you're willing to do that, we'll guarantee the whole contract. Both of these guys, if they wanted to sign a 4 or 5 year deal, could still sign another contract at the age of about 30, 31. They could potentially sign another big contract there. They might be willing to do that. But that is the sale that Brett Veach would have to put on these guys in order to get both of them to sign. Why not just throw money at both of them? Why not just give them the $17 million that they can make on the free agent market? This number, this combined number, would explode to $34, $35 million. And that would just kill your salary cap. It would devastate what you could do at other positions. You would really, really be hurting at some other spot, some other important spot on the team. You would really, really be hurting. So, got to keep this combined number down. Got to hope both these guys are playing great and staying healthy. Got to hope that both these guys love Kansas City and Andy Reid in the offense. And they got to hope that both these guys are willing to take a pay cut in order to stay and play for the Chiefs. Hopefully, in exchange for that, maybe guarantee the whole contract. That's risky. If you guarantee both of these contracts at $10 or $12 million, $14 or $16 million, you run the risk of them being injured or them all of a sudden just quit caring about football and not playing very well anymore, and you are stuck with that bill. So it has a risk to it, but certainly it can be done. So for those of you who are saying, hey, why can't we sign both players? Wouldn't they want to sign for less? It's possible. They both take pay cuts for it to do so. One other thing, and I'll close with this, why are you shortchanging Tyreek Hill instead of Sammy Watkins? Because this is Sammy Watkins, that would be Sammy Watkins' 3rd contract. He would be less likely to land down at $10 or $12 million when he's coming off 19 and 21, or 19 and potentially 21. Tyreek Hill, who's only been making less than $1 million a year, would be more likely, in theory, to sign for a smaller number than Sammy Watkins, simply because he's already been used to not being making a whole lot anyway. So nobody knows the future. Nobody knows anything. I don't know what Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins think about this. I don't know what Brett Veach thinks about this. A lot of things could happen over the next 2 seasons, not only in football, but in life, period. You just never know. There's a collective bargaining agreement coming up in 2020. It could change everything. All of these numbers could change as well. So nobody knows anything, but for those of you who have asked, these are the possibilities. All right, thank you so much for listening. This is Sports and Money. I'm Benjamin Parker. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.